Hi, everybody. Michael Stuart Webb here with the Michael Stuart Webb team at Remax Hallmark Che Realty. As many of you know, we have been through this COVID-19 isolation, doing our bit to try and help everyone cope with the social isolation and social distancing by providing little fun tips to assist everybody to sort of lighten the mood, so to speak. And so we've been talking about offering everybody an opportunity to kind of explore their creative side, be that through visual arts or photography, or exploring their creative writing. And so we've sort of alluded last week to having a very special guest join us, and I'm really pleased to welcome Julie Steeves Benson today, and she is a critically acclaimed author who's most recently released a really phenomenal book, a love story, a collection of prose and poetry, and we're really thrilled to have Julie join us to sort of talk about her process and help all of you guys out there, maybe help you explore your creative side. So, Julie, thanks so much for joining us. Really pleased to have you here.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you. It's such an honor. Not only an honor to have you join us today, but I'm honored to call you a friend as well. So thank you so very much for being here.
My pleasure.
Really excited to hear what you have to say about your most recent work, Lonely Kings and Queens, but also your previous works and what you're up to right now. And I'm really interested in hearing about your process and your muse, and how you get started and all that fun stuff. So why don't we talk a little bit about your current work, Lonely Kings and Queens?
All right.
And I know you have a copy with you, so I downloaded this actually from iBooks not so long ago, and it's such a beautiful work. It really is a love story, and
Thank you.
and it really is, honestly, it's a phenomenal work. So could you maybe share with us a little bit about the process of how it is that you came to write this book? And
Can you see that okay?
yeah, that's phenomenal.
Okay. I'm just going to take you inside of it. Just a bit of a teaser. It's mostly in watercolor. It has a watercolor feel.
It's
But
beautiful.
it
It really is beautiful.
Yeah, it does evoke a lot of emotion. Um, this is Lady Godiva on the front. I got to choose who I wanted, or I actually mocked up this book for the publisher because I wanted a certain look, and that speaks to my background in creative design, but also as a very creative person myself. I wanted some the flavor of me in this because this is like a work of writings that I've been doing since I could hold a pen. So I'm just going to put this down because I can see I'm waving it around here. I'd like to wave it some more. But it is, for me, I have a big bucket of writing and I scroll through it. But for this book particularly, it was inspired by love, by somebody that just inspired me so much to my core that I thought, now it's time. My mother used to say I had a book in me. My father, I think, said I had many. So it was time to do it. And so I pulled my writings together and wrote new stuff as well, and editing a lot of things through history of relationships, like I said, good, bad, or indifferent. I've always thought no matter if it's a bad relationship or it ends badly or whatever, you have learnings from it. And that is just a bridge to your next relationship. Mm-hmm. And this one was so passionate and so of the mind and soul. And I had never really come across that in my lifetime before. So it's all in this book. Everything you feel in it is because of what I believe in, and that I felt the world needed more of this,
Mhm.
this passion. I hope you just, my phone just made a noise, and I'm so sorry because it's turned off.
No, no, it's all good. It's all
I'm
good.
going to throw it in the garbage.
No, no,
Anyway,
this is a non-scripted interview, so it's
oh,
all
good.
good. Whatever happens
Okay.
is perfectly
Oh,
okay.
thank
We're
you.
li- we're non-scripted here.
Okay.
So Julie, would you say that this collection of work has
Yeah.
sort of been a cathartic experience for you, kind of like the culmination of life experience thus far?
Um, yeah, it was always a dream of mine to, and I do believe in trying to make your dreams come true. Um, when I was 5 years old, I wanted to work at Revlon. I made that happen because I really believe in that. I really think I should throw my phone out because I just heard it again. But I just really felt that this uh, was not only a life desire, but I felt it was needed. I just was passionate about it, and you can
Mhm.
feel that in there.
So how much then, and I don't mean to be too personal, but how much of this love story is you and your personal life experience?
Oh, I would never tell. I think there's some things that are embellished for sure, but I'm a bit of a curious cat too, and I like to create um, so people feel emotion, so people feel passion or whatever. I'm passionate about a lot of things. We'll get into that in the other book, um, but I just there's a lot of elements of me in there. Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Okay.
No kiss, no tell.
So, so everyone's just gonna have to buy a copy and try and figure out which part of this book is really a reflection of Julie's personal life and how much of it is
Yeah,
creative writing.
you're
So
so
there's your challenge, everybody.
that's a great one. You'll
um,
just get snippets of me today, probably a good thing, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I once heard that a woman has to keep a little something in reserve at all times, right?
Well, that's quite right. A lot of mystery, So
Absolutely.
you have to be, to me, for me, being having a mysterious element with your relationships, maybe, and passionate, um, but respectful.
Hmm.
Respectful is really, really huge too. I think there's that undying love, and there's also that fleeting love. So
Absolutely.
it has a timeline on it, but there's a lot of love that doesn't. And equally are both romantic. So I am, as you can tell, probably from this book, romantic fool. But I
I
think
think
that's a good thing.
I think so too, and I think that if we're honest with ourselves, there is an element in all of us that
Mhm.
is a romantic at heart and wants to live the fairy tale.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So can you just share with us maybe a little bit of your process?
I think just for me, for this particular book, it was because I got inspired by somebody. But it made me think of what it just rekindled or ignited what I wanted to do. And I wanted to get a book done. Now, it just happened to be that I was writing a chapter with these other women authors in this book, Fuck Fear. And I'm passionate in there. You can read. My chapter is passionate. I talk about domestic violence. So,
Hmm.
but um, in Lonely Kings and Queens, that process was really about pulling everything that I know, using everything I believe from in love and passion, in design and the creativity, was pulling that all together, and writing the best I could. In fact, I've been writing two novels, well, total three, and I did this one first. And the other ones I started years ago, novels. I would leave them alone, then I come back. But this one, The Lonely Kings and Queens, was was a very quick process. It was like I built my whole life just to do this book. So it happened within a year that I
That's
was.
incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I
And
mean, sorry.
sorry. It's interesting what a dichotomy there is between your current work that's really all about a reflection of love and romance, juxtaposed against the previous work that really does shed a light on some of the darker sides of our community. And I know that you're very passionate about supporting women and children in abused familial situations, as are we. We're partnered with the Barrie Women and Children's Shelter. I know that you work closely as well with my sister's house.
No, my friend's house.
My friend's house, pardon
Yeah,
me.
that's okay.
So it's interesting that your previous work is a reflection on really about how ugly we can be, juxtaposed against how beautiful things could be, and it's just a really interesting kind of.
I think, when you look at it that way, these books were actually published within 2 weeks of each other,
Oh,
which,
wow.
so I did get a lot of many people very curious about, because they're polar opposite of each other. But one was, compilation of writings of women, and whether it was survival or what it was, my chapter happened to be, I really was very passionate about, I do have a lot of passion in my life, about, domestic violence. And I really wanted to remove that mask. In fact, that's what my chapter is called, because I think it's really critical right now. My future writings, one of my shorter novels that I'm trying to finish up, is about dying, the right to die, and it's based loosely on my grandmother's death that some people thought was a suicide. So it's kind of a dark kind of comedy, if you can imagine, of a writing. But I write what I know. That's kind of, in essence, what I like to do as well. I have a mystery too, because that mysterious side of you. So I would suggest to anybody, who are trying to get their process down, is just keep writing. You need to keep writing. So keep a journal, keep your scraps of paper, tape it in that journal if you have to. If you're writing on a napkin because you get inspired in a restaurant, take that napkin, put it with that, and you'll soon see that you've captured so many thoughts, and you can write something from that. I just, for me, both the books I was very passionate about doing.
And that, I think, is certainly very evident in the works themselves. And I think you raise an interesting point, as we're trying to offer some guidance to, aspiring, literary geniuses, as they're sitting at home and being responsible and self-isolating. You raised a really good point about writing from what you know. And few people know that I'm a songwriter, and it's important. I think the best works come from a place when you're writing about the things that speak to you and the things that you know and the things that you've experienced. They're just seem more valid and you have a greater sense of meaning. And so would you say for yourself that holds true for your works?
I think so. And I feel like that, say you are passionate about gardening, for instance, write about it. Write about what moves you to garden, how it makes you feel. What do you garden? That whole process is probably very interesting too, When I look at, although these books are very polar opposite, Lonely Fact Fear, there's an element in there that's common, and that's the braveness in it. And this is my opinion, but so the braveness of new love, old love, the braveness of putting your life out there, saying what you need to say about domestic violence, speaking, removing that mask. They both speak truths, and that's the common element between them is they're both brave, because one is, love can be very brave. Like, it's not for the timid sometimes, right?
No,
And
it certainly isn't.
yeah, and removing a mask, getting help for domestic violence, that type of thing. That's very brave, So there's a courageous thing with each of them, is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot to say, Mick.
No, it's all good. This is I'm learning things about you that I didn't previously know. So this is very enlightening, and I'm sure that everyone who will see this interview will also be enlightened and inspired. And that's what this is really about,
Yeah, absolutely.
inspiring one another, particularly at this unprecedented time in all of our lives. It's I think ever important to lift each other up and to support each other and encourage one another in the face of
Totally agree.
this epic adversity. And that's the thing that we all have in common right now. We're all paddling the same canoe right now.
Well,
And
this is what we're all in it together, So
absolutely.
that I think it's a critical time for humanity right now, and to showcase us in our best light.
Hmm.
And you
Yeah,
can see that
absolutely.
all over too.
Absolutely. I'm sure that you would agree, but I've borne witness to some really incredible acts of kindness in the
Yeah,
course of the last several weeks, and
yeah.
it really has been heartwarming and inspiring to see. So possibly for anyone who's watching this, that might be inspiration for them to put pen to paper and write their own story.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head earlier when you were asking me if it was cathartic, because it is cathartic. And in those moments, you're on the front lines or whether you're in the back lines of this virus, um, to get it out there, because this is, like you say, unprecedented. Our feelings, our emotions are just running amok sometimes, and other times
Mhm.
I'm quite at peace with, do I like everything going on? Of course not. But I'm at peace with trying to adapt and just move my life day by day. And the way I do that in my way is I just keep writing. And I write about how I feel every night. This is something new you'll learn about me too, Michael, is that I have a grateful journal. So I write 5 things that I'm grateful for every
I
night.
love that.
I've been doing that for over 20 years. So, and it reminds me, but it also helps with the writing. Um, because if I start in the journal, I finish that up, oh, I have another thought, and on I go. So I find it very cathartic. That was a very good word.
I love that you keep a gratitude journal.
Mhm.
I think that's a really great way to help keep us focused on the positive things in life. In
Yeah, absolutely.
in the face of adversity, there's always some really remarkable stuff that's the stuff that we should be focusing in on. And so I love that you keep a gratitude journal.
Mhm.
Um, and you had mentioned about opportunity, and I think this is a great opportunity for everybody as well. I think these are defining moments for us, and such a great opportunity for self-exploration,
I
and
I do too, and I think there's things, whether you're going to write something down or whether you feel like, we think of creative as being painting or very physical, but there's things that you can do creatively. I'm going to give you an example. Um, so I know somebody who is senior. They're 98 years old. I knew that they don't have family here in Collingwood. They live far away. And I thought they were going to be isolated, and because they're at a high risk, that they're not going to go out. So I gave a call sure enough, you use your gut feeling or whatever, but it was just kind of, hey, how you doing? I just want to know if you need anything. And that's the type of when we step outside of our other creative and you do something creative for somebody else. Now, this individual, he didn't need any food. I asked him if I could pick up food or what he needed. He needed loonies for the wash in his building. He wanted beer. And I'm sorry, at 98 years old, you can drink whatever you like. And so I didn't mind at all standing in a lineup for 40 minutes outside the liquor store on Saturday. I timed it back going, but I would have stood there for 2 hours for him simply because I knew those are the two things he needed. And because the bank, they're really not doing the cash thing. So I called a few people that I know and asked them, because I had no loonies on me at all, and asked them if they had even 2 loonies they could spare and explain the situation. I had so many calls back. So I went around with my gloves on and they had put things in baggies, and I picked up, a dozen loonies. But I can't tell you how that made me feel that these people, I'm asking for loonies and I'm thinking they're going to think I'm a little loony doing this, but everybody was so gracious and so beautiful. Even in the things they said back to me, they couldn't believe that I was doing this. And I thought, but I would, and there's so many seniors who need even a phone call right now. This is very isolating. We can get up and walk around, but those at high risk, they can't do that. They may be stuck in a wheelchair or in a little tiny 1-bedroom somewhere. It could be a basement. Mm-hmm. So making that call or taking that extra step, those are the creative things we can do on a humane level.
I absolutely agree. Now this is a time to demonstrate true solidarity, and to lift each other up, and that's why I think it was really important for us to hop on this call and and just remind people that we are all paddling the same canoe at the moment, and that there is an opportunity to help one another and support one another and encourage one another. And I think
sorry, Michael, but I think what you're doing is just extraordinary. It's such a beautiful thing to do, is to invite people to come and have a conversation with you so that other people become inspired or get ideas or whatever they want from this. It's a very noble and very humble thing to do. So that's awesome.
Thank you for that. Thanks, Julie. I really appreciate that, as do the rest of the team. And we're certainly very community centric, and our philosophy is that we're really nothing without the community. Mm-hmm. And so this is an opportunity for us to to honestly forget about business and just be with the community and offer whatever support we can. And this is a really good opportunity, I think. And, oftentimes in my darker moments, I turn to writing as a vehicle to sort of, work beyond whatever's going on in my life at that moment. And I think this is a really great opportunity with your help and your guidance today. Mm-hmm. To afford whoever might be joining us an opportunity to explore that as that side of themselves as well.
I agree. And and that's a key too. We're human. We have our ups and downs. We have our dark moments and we have our bright moments,
Absolutely.
So especially at this time, I don't want people beating themselves up because, they've never felt like that before. None of us have. We're all in this together,
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. And it's so counterintuitive. And these are, as we've said, unprecedented times, and we're all living through this. This is our first, right? And so we're all going through this first together. Mm-hmm. I know I sound like a broken record, but all that more important to lift each other up. Like these are defining moments.
Exactly.
Defining moment. It gives an opportunity for us to define who it is that we are and who we want to be and what kind of life we want to live, you know? So I honestly, I can't thank you enough for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'm really, really grateful to you as well for your willingness to offer some autographed copies of your phenomenal collection, Lonely Kings and Queens.
It's my pleasure, totally.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we've decided that we've got three signed copies to offer whoever's joining us today. So in order to be fair, I would suggest that the way to procure your copy, everybody, would be to share this interview on your Facebook page and hashtag Michael Stuart Webb Community. And tag the Michael Stuart Webb team. And the first three people to do that are going to get an autographed copy of Julie's most recent book, Lonely Kings and Queens. I know you're going to love it. I've thoroughly enjoyed reading it myself, and
glad to hear that.
I absolutely love the book. Honestly, it's phenomenal. Such a beautiful work, it really is. And I think it's inspired, and it's something that we really need right now.
Yeah.
We need something that's uplifting and that offers hope and promise, you know? So
exactly.
I think that this has come at the most opportune time. And so with that in mind, my friend, would you mind reading us out? Maybe one of your favorite passages?
All right. I'm actually, I was working on a video prior to the virus starting for one of the poems in this book. So that's a project that's coming down the pike. This one is the last poem of the book. I have to take off my glasses. All right. It's called The Isle of Bravery.
I love it.
On the Isle of Bravery, we huddle in our cloaks of comfort. A plateau of darkness and a sea of pain surrounds us. Yet the warmth of your memory delivers us to a different time, a different space, where smiles were plenty and friendship sealed the bellow of our laughter. We call to you in the silence of the wavering moon, the fire burning bright within the sheltered emotions of our hearts. Love prevails on this seemingly lonely, hostile hill. We will conquer in the morning. For now we stop to reminisce, gather strength, gather courage on the Isle of Bravery. We hold each other's thoughts like candles, careful of the gentle wind.
That is absolutely beautiful. And I could not think of a more apropos passage to share at this time.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you, Julie. So grateful for you.
Mutual Admiration Society.
Absolutely. You will be one of the entries in my journal of gratitude today. So thank you so very much.
Ditto. Thank you.
No, thank you. I can't wait to see your next work.
Oh, it's coming.
I'm sitting here with bated breath.
I've said that for years, but it's coming.
Well, you've got some time on your hands now.
Okay.
Thank you again, my friend. I'm forever in your debt. I'm truly humbled to call you my friend. So thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. I hope that that this has been an opportunity for you to maybe find a little bit of your own inspiration. And we look forward to maybe seeing you on the New York bestsellers list at some point. So thanks again. Blessings to every single one of you. And you know where we are whenever you need anything. So thanks very much. Talk to you soon. Bye now.
Bye.